Obviously, our intention is to keep enhancing the continuity technology to the point where we're actually removing the need to do things like backups on mail servers. We're removing the need to do things like clustering.
In our continuity offering, I mean, if we think back to sort of 2003, 2004, it wasn't necessarily high on our agenda to develop a business continuity or an email continuity capability. And it was almost a byproduct of some of the technology we developed in 2005.
The fact is, once we built the MTAs and they were database driven, we then had access to rows of table data that represented emails in queues. And at the time, it seemed quite logical that one would expose those queues as a form of continuity, because you couldn't deliver the emails. So as long as you knew which emails you couldn't deliver, you could essentially provide those back to the business that was your customer in some web format or some other mechanism seamlessly. You wouldn't have to say, well, you have to switch over, you have to stop something, switch something on, and then we'll show you your emails or send them to you in some way. You just had that service because of the way that we had mixed security with the continuity option.
I guess, and this is what we hear from customers all the time, is when they ask that tricky question of where is this email, before they had Mimecast, they couldn't easily answer that question, and in many cases could never answer that question. So if we think about email continuity, for example, and some of the capabilities that we're offering there, without that, what are some of the approaches that you see prospects or customers that we've had have put in place to try and address email continuity? What do those look like?
There's very few commercial options for continuity other than massively clustering Exchange boxes or having disaster recovery sites. But those are fairly expensive things, and businesses still have to do that to a degree. But what they don't have is a fairly elegant bridging continuity solution which takes them from the outage to the recovery. That period of time, they tend not to have good options unless they invest heavily. Now, there's loads of options where you can redirect your traffic by changing an MX record perhaps, or having a backup MX record prepared somewhere. But those things also have exploits, they have complexity involved, and they have a difficult fail-back problem. So once you've failed over, you know, you can still get your emails while you're in that scenario, but when you decide to fail back, there's this massive problem with resyncing to get back to a state which is considered normal. So our benefit is that we've managed to build it in such a way that it's a seamless failover, failback, because we're in the email stream.
So anyway. This must have benefit for companies in planned outage scenarios where, for example, they go to do some maintenance, they need to take the systems down for 15, 20 minutes, run some patches, you know, reconfigure some hardware, and rather than having to fail over and go through quite an onerous sort of DR process, they can just leverage these facilities that they're using for us.
We don't expect necessarily for someone to push a big button when things fail. We can auto detect those in various stages, and we can set timings on them. So you could essentially say, well, I know there's going to be an outage from this point to this point because of the planned maintenance. Hence, I may not be on hand to solve the problem, but I can set something up in advance so that when those situations come up, I don't have to take action. And those things, I mean, they're all micro features. So essentially, you're looking at a collection of small, little technological steps that add up to a fairly low-cost bridging technology. Being able to bridge continuity leads to the ability to rebuild servers and so on. So there's quite a long road that you can run from a roadmap point of view on continuity on its own.